In this video, your Dungeon Master Dreadmoor gives you ratings for every second level spell for the Sorcerer in the Solasta 2 Early Access video game.
Alright, we're going to start off with Sorcerer second level spells. We're going to be rating a tier list from S to E. First up on the list would be Blindness. The target is blind, negated by Constitution save, and the target repeats the save after each of its turns. I do find that this spell is hard to get on certain creatures. You'll get like a 40% chance of success, maybe 50, but it's a 50-50 shot on a lot of these creatures you fight to be able to blind them. One good thing is you can upcast this. Anything over second level you can add an extra target. But all in all, I've taken this spell and I've used it many times, and I have to say this is a C tier. It's okay. I do like the blindness effect, but the fact that they get to repeat saves and they have about a 50% chance of success on the first initial save and then each repeating save, it's an okay spell. So C tier for me on blindness. Next up will be Blur. This is a touch of an ally, but it's concentration, and the enemies have a disadvantage on attack rolls against you. Obviously, if they have Blind Sight or True Sight, this does not help you in any way. But I have to say, in the early access stage of this game, I have to give Blur an S tier for second level. Blur is a must-have for your Sorcerer. Even if you're not going to put it on yourself, you can put it on an ally that gets in the front lines. Great spell to have, and it's one of the few concentration spells in here that I think is worth having with Sorcerer. So for me, Blur is an S tier. Next up will be Magic Weapon. You're basically touching an item that you want to become magical. It makes a normal weapon magical with a +1 bonus. It's for an hour, which is a good duration for the spell. And you can upcast this at third to fifth level to a second +2 bonus, or you can go for 6 or higher, get a +3 bonus on the magic weapon. I've not seen much use for this really. I guess it would just come down to whether or not you have a weapon that you're proficient in and you want to go ahead and make it magical because you don't have that magical item. One reason being would be in the early access I didn't find any long swords that were magical. And if you know, a longsword gives you sap. Sap gives the target a disadvantage on their next attack roll. So personally for me, the longsword is probably one of the best weapons in the game. So with that being said, this magic weapon would become beneficial for your character if you're using the longsword. But for the most part, they give you magic items on everything else, from long bows, short bows. They give you the maul, they give you the great axe, the great sword. So I'm going to have to give this a C tier as well. You're going to use it maybe on the longsword, like I said, but for the most part, you're really not going to use this that much. And the spells that you can choose from here, there's a lot better ones than this. So this is a C tier for me. Next up is Dark Vision. It grants the target Dark Vision for 8 hours. The 8-hour duration is great. This would be helpful for a party like me where I make all humans. This is beneficial for that aspect. But again, you can cast Light as a cantrip onto a target, and that would give them the ability to see in the dark. So how beneficial is this? It's okay. So again, this one here is also a C tier for me. Really comes down to whether or not you want to have Dark Vision on your humans, or if you just want to have a light spell on them. Is it worth a second level spell? For me, no. So C tier for me on this one. Next up would be Ray of Enfeeblement. It gives a disadvantage on strength-based tests. The target also subtracts 1d8 from other damage rolls. On a successful Constitution save, the target only has the disadvantage on their next attack roll until your next turn. So, and this is one that the target keeps repeating the save each round. So all in all, it's okay. Again, there are other spells at second level I'd way rather have than this one. So for me, this one is also a C tier. I do like that it takes 1d8 from the damage rolls. That's nice. But the fact that they get to make Constitution saves each round, that's kind of a downfall to it. So C tier for me on Ray of Enfeeblement. Following that would be Enhanced Ability. Grants the target advantage on their ability checks with the selected ability. This is an hour spell. I guess this would come in handy outside of combat. So I don't really see much advantage to it other than just, I mean, it does have some combat aspects to it, but for the most part, this is also a C tier for me. It could even be rated as a D tier. But I'm going to give it a C tier because it really depends on your party makeup and how you put your party together, whether or not this is something that you would find effective. A downfall for me is the concentration, and like I said, there are way better things I could think of concentrating on than Enhanced Ability. So C tier for me on Enhanced Ability. Following that will be Scorching Ray. This is a range of 120 feet, and you've got 3 rays of fire you can shoot off. Each ray does 2d6, and you can upcast this, add an extra ray per spell slot over 2nd level. For me, Scorching Ray is an A tier. This is a very good spell, and I have used this probably more than any 2nd level spell that's available to the Sorcerer or Wizard. So again, if you have the Wizard and you have the class feature that allows you to upcast, not upcast, but add extra damage to each additional die roll that you have for damage, this becomes beneficial for the Wizard mostly. So for the Wizard, I would give this an S tier. For the Sorcerer, I give it an A tier. One good thing about it being for a Sorcerer is you get abilities where you can get an advantage on your attack rolls, and taking that and then casting the Scorching Ray would really allow you to hit with all 3 Scorching Rays on the target. So all in all, this is this is an A tier for the Sorcerer. I really like it, and I would suggest you picking this up. Also, you can get a Circlet of Blasting in the game that would give you this as well, but it's nothing wrong with having a Circlet of Blasting and this as a spell. So very good spell, A tier for me. Following that will be Hold Person. The target is paralyzed. This is a concentration check. 1 enemy at distance of 60 feet. It's negated by a Wisdom save, and again, the target repeats the save after each of its turns. This is a 1-minute duration, and you can upcast this, add 1 extra target after 2nd level. So all in all, Hold Person, I've taken it, I've used it, I've had it work and I've had it not work, and then I've had it work and then the next round the person makes a save and it's no longer effective. So this for me basically is a C tier. It's average at best. I could see it being used for specific situations, but again, how long will it last really comes down to the save, the Wisdom save on the person. Excuse me, on the person you're putting it on. So again, how often are you going to use this? Probably not as much as you would use some of the other spells. So C tier for me on Hold Person. See Invisibility. As far as the early access goes, I'm giving this an E tier. I've seen no use for it in the early access, but I would bet that there's going to be a lot of invisible conditions taking effect later on, so this would be beneficial then. But in the early access, it's an E tier. I will definitely reevaluate this spell when the full game comes out to give you the full aspect of See Invisibility. It's a spell that I generally love when I play at tabletops, but in the early access I've seen 0 uses for it, so taking it now would be basically a mute spell to grab. So it's an E tier for me right now, but that will change, I guarantee it, once the full game comes out. Excuse me. Next up will be Life Train. This is a 1 enemy at 120 foot range. On a hit, you deal 2d8 necrotic damage, and it grants you the same amount as temporary hit points. So all in all, that's a pretty good effect, especially for the Sorcerer. So for me, Life Drain is an A tier. This is a good spell to have, considering that you can transfer that 2d8 necrotic damage to temporary hit points for yourself. Good spell. A tier all day. But you're only given so many spell choices, so it's a tough one on whether you choose this or something else. But think about the damage here. You're doing 2d8 necrotic, whereas in the Scorching Ray, you're getting 2d6 per ray, which is 6d6 damage. So Huge difference there on whether you want temporary hit points or you want to do full damage. Comes down to your gameplay and your party build. But Life Drain for me is an A tier. And last on the list, Shatter. Shatter is a distance of 60 feet, and the good thing about it is a 10-foot radius square. It's going to be a 10-foot radius AoE damage effect. It does 3d8 thunder damage, and they're taking damage regardless, but they'll take half on a Constitution save. And again, great thing is the construct will have a disadvantage on the save. So when you're coming against constructs and stuff later on, which I didn't see any in the early access, but I could see it being beneficial even more then. And you can also upcast this 1d8 per spell over second level, so you can make this 4d8, 5d8 really good. And the fact that it's an AoE, I've come across many situations where I was able to pick up 4 or 5 guys and just blast them with this. Or you have a creature or something that it's hard to hit, but it has like 4 hit points or 1 hit point left, and you don't have no magic missile spells left or nothing. You could pop Shatter on them, and they're guaranteed to take some type of damage and finish them off. So all in all, Shatter for me is an A tier. It's a must-have as well. It really comes down to party build. So with this character here, as far as what I'm going to be picking, I'm going to be picking Blur. And I'm going to be taking, I wonder if I should take Shatter. I think we're going to take Scorching Ray, just because he's a sorcerer. I can pick up Shatter with my wizard. So for me, Scorching Ray and Blur are a must-have for me. Alright, well that's going to end everything on the sorcerer spells. I'm glad you joined me today, and I hope this was beneficial in letting you know what spells to pick when you level up to 3rd level. I appreciate your time, and I hope that you enjoyed this content. I'll see you at the next video.
Thanks for joining me for the Solasta 2 spell ratings.